Good morning, all of you. In this session, we are going to continue with CSIR Chemical Science June 2019 CETA question paper, question number 71 to question number 80. So 10 questions we are going to upload for our convenience because very lengthy video will not be uploaded in YouTube. That's the reason why. So we are going with only 10 questions. It is also convenient for the preparation. So it will be best useful for the preparation also. So let us move on to the question number 71 in the CSIR Chemical Science June 2019 question paper, right? The correct set of information: manganese H2O taken 6 whole positive, so mu observed is equal to mu spin. Cobalt H2O taken 6 whole, taken 3 positive. It will be a paramagnetic. So let us see which statement. So they two complexes are given, and this magnetic field observed and magnetic moment, spin magnetic moment and observed magnetic moment were that relation is given for manganese. For cobalt complex, whether it is diamagnetic or paramagnetic nature, this is also given. So among all the given 4 options, we have to predict which is the right answer. So one is manganese complex, second is cobalt complex. Manganese is the D5 system, and here cobalt plus 3, it will be cobalt plus 3, it will be D6. If it is in plus 2 state, it will be D7 system actually, but they gave D6 system. Okay, for these two complexes, we have to predict what is the nature, what is the interrelation for magnetic moment, what observed and spin magnetic moment for manganese, and the magnetic nature of this cobalt complex. Whenever manganese H2O taken 6 dye positive, D5 system was taken. D5 system was taken. We have the configuration T2G3 and EG2. So, because it is the water in this complex behaving like a weak field ligand. Whenever weak field ligand is there, after filling this lower energy level triply degenerated T2G, electrons now entered into EG instead of pairing. That's why we will get symmetric distribution of all 5D electrons which are present in this manganese. Because of its symmetric nature, mu observed exactly equals to mu spin. Okay, so for that purpose, which statement is correct? Mu observed is equal to mu spin. This is the correct statement. And the second is mu observed greater than mu spin. This is not the correct one. Mu observed is equal to mu spin is the correct statement. Mu observed greater than mu spin, it is also wrong answer. Either option number 1 or 3 can be used for this. Let us move on to second complex, that is cobalt H2O taken 6 tripositive was taken. In this D6 cobalt plus 3 system, specifically water behaving like a strong field ligand. Because of strong field ligand nature, instead of electrons going into EG orbital, all 6 electrons, D6 means 6 electrons are present in this. All 6 d electrons are paired in this T2G orbital only. All electrons. So what will be the configuration here? T2G6 and EG0. This will be the possible electronic configuration. Possible electronic configuration, electron distribution in case of cobalt D6 system. So that's the reason why whenever all the electrons got paired in this T2G orbital, we can't find even single odd electron in this. Hence, it is a diamagnetic substance. Being it is diamagnetic substance, which statement will satisfy this one? Let us see. Cobalt H2O taken 6 diamagnetic. Hence, option number 2, we have observed is greater than spin. This is not correct. Observed is equal to spin. This is the correct statement, and cobalt will be diamagnetic. Option number 3 is exactly matching with the actual Answer. Manganese complex being a D5 system, it is symmetric. Mu observed is equal to mu spin. Cobalt hexaqua complex when considered water behaving like a strong field ligand, and the electron distribution will be T2G6 and EG0. Right? So that's the reason why we can say it is a diamagnetic substance. Option number 3 is the correct answer. And the question number 72. Consider the following statements regarding electronic spectra of high spin complexes. Whenever titanium plus 3 is there, one sharp band will be there. So, but it will give only one band because of T2G 1 electron, EG 0 electron distribution, but it experienced broad band but not sharp band because it involved in Jahn-Teller distortion. So because of unsymmetric nature, this titanium plus 3 system is experiencing Jahn-Teller distortion. That's the reason why it will give the broad band instead of sharp band. So option number 1 is not matching with this. So whatever A answers are there, they will be discarded. 1 and 2 will not suitable for this question number 72. Let us move on to option B. Cobalt plus 2 and chromium plus 3 complexes exhibit true broad bands. So cobalt plus 2 when taken. So 2 broad bands will be there, being it is the D7 system. Chromium plus 2, 3 broad bands will be there, D4 system it is. So D7 system true 2 broad bands will be there, and for chromium plus 2, 3 broad bands will be appeared. So that's the reason why for this statement, both the complexes are giving 2 broad bands is the wrong statement. One is giving 2, second is giving 3. So option number B containing answers also it is discarded. So 1, 2 and 4 are eliminated. Only the possibility will be C and D. Let us see what are the statements given in the C and D. Manganese plus 2 complexes exhibit a series of very weak and sharp bands because manganese is Laporte and spin forbidden in state. Manganese plus 2 exists in D5 system. It is a weak band and Laporte forbidden, spin forbidden. That's the reason why the option number C is satisfying. Nickel plus 2 complex exhibit 3 broad bands. Whenever nickel plus 2 was taken, it is a D8 system and we will experience 3 broad bands for this complex. In 3 broad bands will be appeared in what we can say spectroscopy of high spin complex. So high spin complex is considered for this D8 system, 3 broad bands will be appeared. What are the 3 broad bands? By using this Orgel diagrams, we can simply explain 3 broad bands in case of nickel. 3A to G, 3T to G conversion is possible. 3A to G to 3T1G is possible. 3A to G to 3T1GP pairing is possible. So these 3 are the broad bands which are possible for nickel plus 2, right? So option number 3 is satisfying for question number 72. So 3 is the right answer. And the next, let us move on to question number 73. Match the appropriate geometry on the right with the species on the left. Whenever fluoroxenon oxy OSO2F was taken, this is the what xenon noble gas element. Noble gas element, being it is a noble gas, it should be inert in nature. It should not have any kind of reactions. But exceptionally, xenon is able to form few complexes whenever it is in reaction with highly reactive oxygen and fluorine. Such compounds are known in the practical sense. So whenever xenon was taken, it able to form oxides and also fluorides. So these compounds are given, we have to match with their shape. So there is this certain difference between geometry and shape of the molecules. Geometry stands for if the molecular structure which is considered, the entire structure including lone pair also considered. Whenever shape was taken, it is taken with only bond pair electrons, but not lone pair of electrons. That is called the shape of the molecule. Here, most probably we have to consider shape of the molecule, because linear, pyramidal, T-shape, bent shape, all these are called shapes of the molecules, but not geometry. Whenever geometry is considered, that is purely depends upon hybridization of the orbital. If sp3 hybridization is there, we can say it is the a tetrahedral. sp3d hybridization is there, we can say it is trigonal bipyramidal. D2sp3 is there, that is called octahedral. dsp2 is there, that is called square pillar. In that way, geometry mainly depends upon hybridization involved in that molecule, and shape mainly depends upon by discarding lone pair of electrons, whatever structure it retaining, that will be given for the molecule. Let us go one by one. Xenon is having two bonds, one side fluoro, and either side oxygen is there in this first complex. We need two sigma bonds for xenon. So being it is a NS2 NP6 system, noble gas, what happens? All the electrons are completely filled, highly stable configuration will be there. Whenever we are exciting the xenon, one of the electron enters into the orbital, so that it involved in sp3d hybridization. These two odd electrons are probable to involve in sigma bond formation, and these three electron pairs remains lone pair of electrons, unreacted, non-bonding, right? So sp3d hybridization geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal, TBP, trigonal bipyramidal will be there. But when we consider shape of the molecule, three electron pairs will be neglected, and these two are involved in the sigma bond formation, and there is a possibility of linear shape, linear fashion, right? So this is the structure of the compound, where we have xenon is surrounded by fluorine and xenon is surrounded by fluorine and oxygen, where linearity can be observed. Option number 1 is mapped for this first structure. Let us move on to second one. If fluoro, xenon, nitrogen, instead of oxygen we inserted nitrogen, SO2F whole taken twice will be the compound. Whenever this compound was taken, we have xenon is having direct bond with fluorine and nitrogen, but not with the compounds which are present in the square in this bracket. So these are present on the nitrogen, but not on the xenon. Only the consideration for the xenon are two bonds. Based on this only we can predict the structure of compounds. So here also we have to get two bonds. That's why the configuration became same and hybridization remains same. sp3d hybridization is given for even for the xenon surrounded with fluoro and nitrogen. Linearity will be there. Hence we can say sp3d geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal and shape will be linear. So compound 2 also mapped with this linear structure. So 1 is 1, 2 is also 1, 1 is 1, 2 is also 1. And xenon trioxide when taken, this will be the structure of xenon trioxide, where we have 3 sigma bonds, 3 pi bonds, and 1 lone pair of electron. If this lone pair is also considered, we can say it is a tetrahedral, that is a geometry. Whenever shape of the molecule is considered, it is called a pyramidal in nature, where xenon is bounded with 3 oxygens with 3 sigma bonds and simultaneously 3 pi bonds. Let us see what is the configuration, what is the hybridization. In order to get 3 sigma bonds, we need 3 odd electrons. 3 odd electrons are generated by exciting 3 electrons from this free orbital. So here NS2, NP3, N-1, D3 will be generated. Hybridization will not be sp3d3, it will be sp3 hybridization only. The reason is we need to form more 3 pi bonds. Always hybridized orbitals involved in sigma bond formation rather than pi bond formation. In order to form the pi bond, the orbitals remains in unhybridized state. That's why sp3 hybridization is given for this molecule xenon trioxide, where these three electrons responsible for sigma bond formation. One of the electron pair is present in the form of lone pair. And these three electrons are unhybridized, which are participated in the 3 pi bond formation. So here we have one lone pair, 3 sigma bonds, 3 pi bonds will be there. Being it is sp3 hybridized, we can say geometry will be tetrahedral. But whenever one of the electron pair is not considered, the structure will be pyramidal in nature. That's the reason why here we can see xenon trioxide, where pyramidal structure will be adopted for this compound, right? So question number 73 is mapped with this option number 2. Xenon trioxide is pyramidal in shape. Now let us move on to xenon OF2. When xenon OF2 was taken, the structure will be like this, where xenon surrounded with 2 fluorines and 1 oxygen, where 1 pi bond, 3 sigma bonds, 2 lone pairs will be their structure retaining T shape. Now, in order to form 3 sigma bonds, 3 electrons are required and 1 electron is required for pi bond formation. Means total 4 odd electrons are required. In order to get 4 odd electrons, 2 electrons should be excited, not 3. Only 2 electrons when excited, we will get 4 odd electrons. Among all these, sp3 dehybridization only required because only 3 sigma bonds are required for us. Being it is sp3 dehybridized, the shape retaining trigonal bipyramidal. One of the electrons in pi bond formation. This electron involved in pi bond formation. These electrons involved in sigma bond formation, where 2 electron pairs are present. These are non-bonding in nature. So which is represented here? 2 electron pairs are non-bonding and 3 sigma bonds are there. Among 3, 2 will be sigma fluoro and here double bond O will be there. So this will retain T shape, but geometry will be trigonal bipyramidal. Here we can observe XeOF2, it is the T-shaped molecule. Then D is mapped with 3. D is mapped with 3. Option number 1 is the correct statement for this question number 73. And the next question, hydrolysis of trans cobalt LCl EN taken twice whole positive octahedral complex, where EN groups are present in trans position with respect to each other. Ligand may be either NO2 minus, NCS minus thiocyanate, and OH minus hydroxo, Cl minus chloro. Any one of the ligand can be taken if we are arranging these ligands in such a manner that final compound should subject it to hydrolysis. Hydrolyzed product should be present in the cis isomeric form. Means its geometry will be inverted after the reaction. In order to invert the geometry, the mechanism proceeded with SN1 always. Sorry, SN2 kind of mechanism will be followed. Right. So in order to convert trans into cis isomer, we have to go with its mechanism. Here you can observe the octahedral structure of cobalt complex, where En both are in opposite direction. And one side ligand is there, that ligand may be OH, NCN, chloro, and nitro functional group. Okay. Then another side we have chloro group, so which is already present. It is the dissociative mechanism. Whenever chloro group is removed, there is a formation of trigonal bipyramidal intermediate. This intermediate can be added with any of the ligand which are given here. We have to frame them in such a order where cis isomeric form should be predominated. Among all the given options, OH minus having a high rate of cis isomer formation over thiocyanate over chloride over NO2 functional group, nitro, right? So this will be the correct order where cis isomer formation will be predominated in OH. Which is satisfying the statement? Option number 2 is satisfying. Mechanism is proceeded with this kind of intermediate formation. What is the intermediate? Trigonal bipyramidal intermediate will be formed in this reaction. So question number 74, option number 2 is the right answer. And the next, let us move on to among the following reactions, those that are feasible in liquid ammonia. Which reaction is feasible in liquid ammonia? Let us see. When potassium nitrate treated with sodium chloride, there is a formation of KCl and silver nitrate. Here, actually, this type of reactions are facilitated in water, it seems. By seeing only, we can observe that this reaction is facilitated in water. But actual practice, what is correct is, this is facilitated in water when we are going with potassium chloride, silver nitrate, formation of potassium nitrate and AgCl. Reverse reaction will be facilitated in water. This reaction is carried in liquid ammonia only. So this is in association with liquid ammonia as a solvent. When we are taking ammonium bromide, potassium amide leads to formation of KBr and ammonia. In this, we can say ammonium bromide is an acid, KNH2, potassium amide is a strong base. Formation of salt plus solvent is possible. This reaction is facilitated in liquid ammonia. So this reaction is also possible in liquid ammonia. And third reaction will be what iron pentacarbonyl is treated with 2 electrons. Whenever 2 electrons were treated, there is a formation of iron. There is a formation of iron CO taken for -2. Charged species will be generated. These electrons are provided by liquid ammonia. Liquid ammonia is providing these 2 electrons. Hence, we can say this reaction is also facilitated in liquid ammonia. So, all 3 reactions are possible, which is satisfying option number 1 is satisfying this statement. So, correct answer will be option number 1. All reactions are possible in liquid ammonia. And the next question will be the cation formed upon dissolving tin tetrafluoride and aurum trifluoride in liquid BrF3, bromine trifluoride separately. What will be the formed product? By seeing only, we can say tin tetrafluoride is a Lewis acid having tendency to react with base. Aurum trifluoride is also electron deficient, and we can say it is also Lewis acid, electron pair acceptor. Whenever boron trifluoride is treated, in both the cases, we can find same kind of intermediate, that is BrF2 positive. So option number 3 will be the right answer for this question. When we see the mechanism, we clearly observe that iron trifluoride, when treated with bromine trifluoride, it will accept one of the fluorine. When one of the fluorine is eliminated from this one, it is converted into BrF2 positive. So here positive charged species will be generated. And when tin tetrafluoride is treated with bromine trifluoride, the product will be bromine F2 whole twice. And SnF6 formation is possible because it accepts two fluorides. That's why we need two bromine trifluorides. So here 2 BrF2 positive will be generated. In both the cases, you can observe BrF2 positive as the product. So option number 3 is satisfying the statement. And the next question, consider the following statements. In which reaction you can't find ethane as the final product? Here, compound 1 is a platinum complex, PPH2, PPH2 is there, CH2, CH3, OCH3 is there. It involved in beta elimination, subsequently will give ethane as the final product. This is a compound which involved in reductive elimination of ethane, so that we will get oxidative addition of methyl iodide ethane as the product. But in case of option number 3, there is no possibility of ethane formation. That's why option number C is not forming any ethane product. Option number 1 and 2 both are forming ethane as a product. So 3 is the right answer. By seeing mechanism, we can clearly observe how it is possible, how they are able to form ethane and this is not forming ethane. Whenever compound 1, that is a platinum complex of square planar, beta hydride elimination is possible whenever beta hydride is directly attached to the platinum. Here we can discard this formaldehyde. Here the formation of platinum H, CH2, CH3, this will be discarded in this manner. And here the formation of CH3, CH3, which is called ethane. So this platinum complex is generating ethane product. And the next second option will be palladium. When palladium was taken PPH3, PPH3, it is having CH3, CH3 functional groups. When reductive elimination is possible and subsequent oxidative addition of methyl iodide, here it able to give CH3, CH3. But compound number 3 is not having that provision to generate ethane. That's why option number 1 and 2 are giving ethane. Option number C is not giving. Which is not giving? Option number C. The correct answer is 3. Right? Now let us move on to next question. Donor mode of nitrosyl ligand depends upon the metal. Consider the following complexes. Everybody knows that nitrosyl group exists in linear and bent model. If it is linear, it is the 3 electron donor. If it is in bent shape, it is 1 electron donor. Let us see in which complex it is in linear and in which complex it is in bent shape. So let us see one by one. When iridium chloro CO PPH3 taken twice, NO whole positive compound was taken, it is a octahedral, square pyramidal. In the square pyramidal complex, mostly electronic configuration stable will be in 16 electron system. Whenever it is associated with 16 electrons, it will be more stable complex. Iridium, PPH3, 3 groups are there. Chloro, nitrosyl. When nitrosyl is in +1, that means it contributing 1 electron, then only it will be 16 electron system, then only it will be more stable. Because iridium is a 9 electron system, it will have 9 valency electrons. Chlorine obviously 1 electron donor, PPH3 is 2 electron donor, PPH3 2 electron, PPH3 2 electron. Then in order to retain 16 electron system, 9 plus 2 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 minus 1, because here complex is positive, that's why we have to discard one of the electron, so that 16 electron system will be generated, and we can say it is a square pyramidal in nature, right? And in either complex is ruthenium. So in this ruthenium complex, what is the second complex? Ruthenium Cl PPH3 taken twice, NO2 whole positive. Again, it is a kind of square pyramidal where PPH3 contributing 2 electrons. 2 nitrosyl groups are there. One of the nitrosyl is 1 electron donor, being it is a bent one. In either nitrosyl is 3 electron donor, being it is a linear one. And 2 PPH3 units are there. 1 chloro group is there, that is 1 electron. Central ruthenium is 8 electron system. So entire electrons will be 16. So here we can't say it is a kind of that do not exhibit bent geometry. It exhibit bent geometry and also exhibit linear. Both are possible. So it is also not a right option. When we are taking cobalt, NCS, thiocyanate, diars taken twice, NO positive. Dia stands for ortho dimethyl arsenic C6H4. So central phenyl will be there, 2 sides arsenic will be there, and arsenic also having what that bonds with these 2 methyl groups.